Straight ahead on 12 News, bicyclists make a push for more pedal power.
It's recreation, it's transportation, it's for your emotional well-being.
Plus, choosing a new city logo, how Osseo residents can weigh in. But first, in need of an electrician, why that home wiring project may take longer to finish. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Johnson.
And I'm Alexandra Renslow. Finding an electrician could soon be much more difficult.
That's because many electricians in Minnesota are nearing retirement, and there aren't enough in training to take their place. 12 News reporter Shannon Slatton shows us what one Maple Grove company is doing to keep their workers.
Good electricians have something called a knack.
My guys have the knack.
Randy Smith, who owns Randy's Electric, looks for people to hire who have a natural flair for the job.
To be an electrician, you need to be pretty intelligent, but you also have to have the knack.
And he tries to keep them happy because
it's really hard to find good electricians.
These two workers are using our story as an excuse to get an electrical job done here at the Maple Grove office. They are moving an outlet behind a flat screen TV.
Otherwise, you got a cord running down here. And who likes to see cords?
Yeah, it's very popular right now to put TVs on the wall instead of having entertainment centers.
Actually, let's go up a little higher.
Since 2002, Smith's business has grown from just himself to 10 electricians who service anywhere in the metro.
The need is really big for electricians. Even in the slow time of year, it's hard to keep up with the demand.
A shortage of workers and a great demand for the work.
That's beautiful.
Only means two things down the road for homeowners.
I would imagine it would be a longer wait. I imagine that more people will try to do it who shouldn't. I would imagine the prices will go up.
Smith says one solution is to encourage more students to go into the trades. The Bureau of Labor Statistics agrees with that. It shows the employment of electricians is projected to grow 20% from now until 2022. That's a faster rate than the average for all occupations.
All right, thanks, Shannon. Maple Grove firefighters faced some tough obstacles as they battled a fire that was far from a hydrant in very cold weather. A large garage fire in the 9200 block of Brockton Lane was fully engulfed. The temperature was below zero at the time. What's more, a fire truck had to cross a private bridge over Rush Creek to get to the fire. Others stayed on the street in case the bridge wouldn't hold their weight.
The first crew took the gamble and they went across the bridge, and they were up the road, and they used their first 500 gallons of water that they carry on the truck, but then they were done. So we had to lay about 800-900 feet of hose back down the driveway down Highway 101.
The garage was heavily damaged. It is not clear how the fire started.
A Minneapolis man and a teenage suspect are accused of leading police on a chase through Maple Grove that reached speeds of 90 miles an hour. The chase started after several guitars were stolen from a store in the Fountain shopping area. Eddie Lloyd is charged with felony theft and giving a false name to police. The criminal complaint says the suspects were arrested when their vehicle crashed at a roundabout near the Champlin border. Police say they were aided in determining Lloyd's identity because his name was tattooed on his body.
New statistics show a slight increase in violent crime in Hennepin County, though it continues to remain near historic lows. Violent crime in 2014 was up less than 1% from the year before. However, there were several cities with fewer incidents of violent crime, and they include Plymouth and Brooklyn Center. County statistics also show a drop in homicides in 2014. The 40 homicides last year were among the lowest in more than a decade.
At the state capitol, what could be the session's first contentious debate on the House floor. As we went to air, the Minnesota House was set to take action on a bill that would end the practice of teacher tenure. Teacher tenure makes job seniority the prime consideration during layoffs. The House Republicans want to change that by proposing a bill that would emphasize teacher performance. The state teachers union strongly opposes the bill. Governor Dayton vetoed a similar proposal in 2012. Also in St. Paul, a group of avid cyclists gathered with a common goal, and that's making Minnesota more bike-friendly.
Minnesota and the Twin Cities consistently ranks as one of the top places in the country to ride a bicycle. But as Delane Cleveland reports, many cyclists say we still have a long way to go.
Really excited that you're here today.
In this church basement just feet from the Capitol,
large trucks tend to respond to bicyclists in a very positive way.
Members of the Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota gathered with one primary thing in mind: the state transportation funding package.
Bicyclists want to make sure that bicycling and walking are included in that transportation funding package. Not only in the metro area, this isn't just a Minneapolis thing. This affects communities all over Minnesota.
Dorian Grilly helped organize this bike summit to let state legislators know about their bicycling issues and needs.
In a perfect world, there would be continuous, safe routes for people to get from where they live to where they're going.
Greg Anderson of Plymouth is one of the people hoping for a change.
I'm a bike commuter, so I'll commute about 18 miles each, 9 miles each way.
To make that commute easier, he'd like to see improvements made to Plymouth's Vicksburg Lane.
In its present state, it's just a 2-lane road, so it's really not good. Back in 2006, the city had a bike roundtable, and they got many comments about Trail of Terror.
Whether Vicksburg Lane loses that Trail of Terror moniker remains to be seen. But the Senate's Transportation and Public Safety Chair says Anderson and everyone here should at least try.
Do not leave the Capitol without having some eyeball-to-eyeball conversation with your state legislator.
In St. Paul, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Meanwhile, Hennepin County has a long-term bicycle transportation plan that calls for quadrupling the number of bicycle commuters. It includes completing 20 miles of new bikeway systems every year, and you can see the plan on our website at 12.tv.
Well, this summer, get ready for a lot of road construction. MnDOT is holding several open houses to inform the public about 3 projects in the Northwest Metro. The biggest one, an 8-mile project along I-494 between I-394 in Minnetonka and the I-94-694 interchange. The 2-year project will add a 3rd lane to 494 in each direction through Plymouth and Maple Grove. MnDOT is holding the first of 3 open houses tonight. That's Thursday night at the Plymouth Library. Officials will also talk about construction on Highway 12 and Highway 610.
What's the best way to picture the city of Osseo in a new logo? The city is looking for public input on 4 different general concepts. Those images include the old water tower, a street lamp, a clock tower, or an oriole, like the Osseo High School mascot. Osseo hopes a new logo will help people quickly identify the city.
With the amount of development that we've had in the city in the past couple of years, we're bringing more people to town. With the 5 Central project, we have more residents. We're increasing population by 10%. So we have more eyes on the city of Osseo, and what we really wanted to do was update that logo, freshen it up.
After getting community feedback, the city's Arts Committee will take a look before a final decision is made in about a month. Coming up, we head to Osseo High School to meet a standout student who isn't afraid to lend a helping hand.
And then later in sports, Totino-Grace rallies in a big way in its first match at the state wrestling tournament.
But first, still chilly on Friday. The bright spot, it will warm up slightly this weekend. For families with special needs children, routine chores like grocery shopping can be a challenge, especially if the child's in a wheelchair.
This specially designed shopping cart called Caroline's Cart is made for children with special needs. Cub Foods in Maple Grove is the first grocery store in the metro to offer the cart. The seat is larger and sturdier in size. It has a brake and combines elements of a wheelchair with a traditional shopping cart.
We heard about Caroline's Cart and thought, this may be a need that we're not able to fill as best as we can right now. And so as we looked at the cart and started thinking about ways it could help, it just seemed like something that would make a lot of sense.
The Maple Grove store has gotten some positive feedback, and there are plans to bring the specialty carts to other Cub Foods locations. When there's a job to do, even if it's not the most glamorous, this week's standout student gets it done.
At Osseo High School, senior Olivia Koskela is instrumental in the music department.
Here we go.
Amid the rhythm of high school, there are students with their fingers on the pulse. At Osseo High School, senior Olivia Koskela is one of them.
Especially in the band department, we see a ton of great kids. What I would consider to be some of the best we have here. And she stands out among them because of her willingness to give of herself and her time.
A good musician in her own right, it's what Olivia does behind the scenes.
I've put so much work into the department. I just love helping out.
Giving up her study hour each day to volunteer as a student aide for the music department that truly sets her apart.
That's sort of my whole thing in life, has been to help people. That's always how I've been. If I get the chance to volunteer, I do it as much as I can.
When Osseo recently hosted 14 school districts and 2,500 band, orchestra, and choir students for the Northwest Suburban Conference Music Festival, Olivia was instrumental in helping things run smoothly.
She's organizing music, she's making copies of papers, she's typing up documents, she's doing a lot of paperwork, business stuff that helps us be able to really focus on music as teachers.
Helping out in music is the fuel that keeps Olivia going.
A lot of people are like, student aiding so much work, you know, we never get to do homework, we don't have time just to ourselves, but I like helping. It's just sort of who I am, and it gives me something to do, and the music is sort of my life.
But this standout student also manages the cross-country team and works behind the scenes on school musicals. If there's a job to do, chances are Olivia's on the scene to lighten the load.
Olivia plans to stay involved in music, but she's interested in a degree in natural resource management. Still ahead, carving and chiseling our way into something special in Plymouth.
And first in sports, opening round action of the boys basketball playoffs. Jason Malillo has highlights of Armstrong against Edina coming up next. Time to talk about basketball playoffs. Armstrong is they're in a talented section, and Edina can be a tough team.
They're all good teams in that section, and you know, you have to play hard to get through this section. It might be the best section in the state. And this is where the games get really fun this time of year. It's playoff time in boys basketball. The Armstrong Falcons won 20 games in the regular season, but all that got them was a number 5 seed in the tough Section 6-4A tournament. And that put the Falcons on the road against Edina in the quarterfinals. Sean Burns is hot early for Armstrong. He scores off the glass, and that's 19 total in the game. Jerome Dixon dishes to Evan Nolan. His long three-pointer is good as the Falcons take an 18-15 lead. On the break, Dixon with a nice dish to Race Thompson for the hoop, plus a foul. Thompson scores 7 off the pine in the first half for Armstrong. And Dixon is superb. This floater is part of a 12-point first half for him. He scores 20 overall, and Greg Miller's Armstrong squad leads by a half dozen at halftime. Second half, and Nolan finds Dixon in the corner for 3 more as the Falcons go up by 9. Edina comes back, though. The long outlet leads to a layup for Walt McGrory, and the Hornets are within 4 points. But it's all Falcons from there. Race Thompson scores and draws the foul on the post move here. Jubialati cuts backdoor, and Burns finds him for 2 more. Armstrong pulls away to win 81-52. Their tough late season schedule helped them early.
Yeah, it made us strong because our first half of our schedule was kind of easy, so we wanted to get into the second half where it's kind of tougher. We lost a couple games, adjusted at practice, worked hard every day, and we're getting better every day, man.
Hopkins is the number 2 seed in Section 6. The Royals took on a former conference rival as they played host to St. Louis Park at the Lindbergh Center. Defense leads the offense as Xavier Johnson picks up the pass and goes all the way for 2, and Hopkins gets out to a quick 12-3 lead. Vincent Shahid is the engine that makes Hopkins go, and he delivers a nice bounce pass. Graham Hudson bobbles it but recovers the score anyway, and it's 26-10 Royals. Hopkins keeps the ball moving here, and it leads to an easy 2 for Simon Wright to make it 44-14. It's 44-22 Royals at the half. They are indeed in control. Second half, Shahid gets the ball to Johnson for a 3 in transition. And as Yogi Berra would say, it gets late early for St. Louis Park. John Warren will get the steal and the breakaway jam on his way to a game-high 22 points as the Royals win easily 88-40. That sets up Saturday's semifinals at Eden Prairie. Armstrong takes on top seed Eden Prairie at 1 o'clock. Then it's Hopkins against Minneapolis South at 3. South, who was 11-15 in the regular season, upset number 2 seed Minnetonka in a 105-104 thriller on Wednesday night. The state wrestling tournament is now underway in St. Paul. Totino-Grace is in the team competition in Class AA. Perham dominates early in the quarterfinals. This overtime takedown gives Zach Peterson a 5-3 win over Brady Bertram at 160 pounds. And Perham leads 31-19, but the comeback begins at 170. Jared Florell gets the takedown and beats Patrick Glenn 13-7. His brother Isaac Florell was on the way to what looks like a decision, but instead gets a late pin at 182 pounds. That's a big 6 points for Grace. Lance Bennick, who is a 3-time individual champion, makes quick work of Cole Schmitz at 195. Bennick's pin pulls Totino-Grace within 31-24. After a major decision win at 225 pounds, Sam Anderson completes the comeback for the Eagles with a pin over Jesse Buckholtz in the heavyweight match. That's some exciting wrestling right there. Totino-Grace rallies for a 34-31 win. In the semifinals, Grace did fall to top seed and defending champion Simley, 45-18. Grace is facing Scott West for third place this afternoon. Well, spring may be right around the corner, though it doesn't feel like that, but there's still time to get some ice fishing in this winter. Here's Terry Tuma with his final tip of the season.
We just came back from black ice fishing for walleyes. And originally, I want to just comment on this. I think we need to understand this because we're always talking about patterns and catching fish and so forth. Well, we had 4 fronts that came through from Thursday to Saturday morning. There's going to be time frames where you can't set a pattern. Just to give you an idea, we did not catch one walleye on a vertical jigging spoon with whole minnows or with a minnow head. And that was just, you know, an inkling of what was taking place. We caught some on a dead stick rod, just with a long rod, a fiberglass rod, with a real sensitive tip with a jig and a minnow. That was productive. Using minnow heads on jigs was productive. And then a set line, which is a bobber system, was also productive with beads and so forth. Too often today we try to force a pattern. We think we gotta get a pattern to catch fish, and just be open-minded. You know, if you're not or can't get a set pattern, you gotta try different ways, different methods of catching these fish to be successful. This is the last tip for the season of ice fishing. Hopefully everyone has picked up a few tips, if you will, of helping you increase your success in the wintertime. We're going to be back in May talking about open water fishing, a lot of new tips again, different ways of catching fish. Do enjoy the late season ice fishing, one of the best times of the year to catch crappies and bluegills, and we'll see you on the open water in May. Have a great late winter and early summer season of fishing.
Thank you, Terry. We'll see you in the spring.
Thanks, Jason. We'll be right back.
Well, finally, turning blocks of wood into art.
The Plymouth Woodcarvers group has been meeting at the Plymouth Creek Center for many years. While chiseling, carving, and shaving pieces of wood into art is the focus, of course, many members say they come here to socialize with their friends, and that helps get the creative juices flowing. They meet every Thursday morning starting at 9 at the Plymouth Creek Center.
Always looking for new members,
New
too.
members.
Yep.
That does it for us. Thanks for joining us.
See you tomorrow.